Hello, I'm DFC Teresa Anderson with the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office Juvenile Operations Unit. This alert training is a program that was developed to address the growing number of active shooter threats and to make our schools even safer. This is ALERT, Active Shooter Defense. ALERT stands for Assess, Lockdown, Evade, Resist, and Tell. ALERT explains what a lockdown is and gives you different options. One goal of ALERT is for you to pay attention to your surroundings. We call this situational awareness. Situational awareness is the ability to see, prepare for, and understand what is happening around you. Situational awareness is something we all have some of the time and something none of us have all of the time. The goal is to be alert, act on, and report any concern for your safety and the safety of others. If the first time you think about locking or evacuating your classroom is during an emergency, you may not respond as quickly as you'd like. It takes time to prepare. You can prepare in advance by considering the following. Number 1, lock your classroom. Don't let anyone into the classroom that could harm you. 2, protect yourself from a gunshot by hiding behind something that will protect you. 3, hide yourself from being seen. And 4, know ways you can escape the classroom if you need to. The main goal of quickly looking around your classroom is to decide if a lockdown is the best plan and to find the safest place in that classroom. Hurting people means more to the attacker than their own life, so sometimes a locked door may not be enough. Normally, the safest place is inside of the classroom. The killer in Marjory Stoneman Douglas School never entered a classroom, yet 6 students were killed inside classrooms. Let's explore when a lockdown is the best option. If you are in the hallway and the killer is very close, lockdown may not be a good choice because you may not be able to control who gets into your classroom quickly enough. The most important goal in locking down is being able to keep anyone outside from getting inside and to hide so the attacker can't see you in the room. You also want to hide behind something that will protect you in case the attacker shoots into the room. If leaving the classroom means that you will be face to face with the attacker, that is too dangerous, and your best choice is to stay in your locked room. The reason we keep our classroom doors locked during school hours is to always keep the classroom safe. If your classroom doesn't allow for this, leaving the classroom is likely your best choice. This picture shows what a lockdown in a classroom looks like. The door is locked and strengthened with an obstacle that blocks the door and window. Students are in the safest place and on their feet, so it's easier for them to leave if a lockdown fails. If a lockdown fails, determine your best option. Either run or protect yourself. If you do not have a way to escape, protecting yourself is your best option. You should not wait for the attacker to enter the classroom. Running is a very powerful option and sometimes the best option in an active shooter type attack. If the attacker is very close and students are in immediate danger, students should run far away as quickly as possible. Don't worry about staying together. At the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, 10 students ran away from unlocked classrooms. These were the only people to survive from that classroom. Fighting back is the last resort, and it does not mean that students are taught to fight the attacker. Teachers and staff are told to fight back if necessary. If someone is trying to hurt students during any emergency, it's very important to follow your teacher's instructions. The final step in ALERT is to tell. While it's important to call 911, it is more important to make sure you are safe in your locked room or are far away from the school and then call 911 when you are safe. When there's an active threat at school, lockdown, run, fight, and tell are the best ways to keep yourself safe. You do not have to wait for an alarm or permission to leave an unsafe school. What you should do, the first thing that law enforcement officers and the SRO will do is to try and stop the shooter. Follow any instructions from law enforcement officers. Remember, the officers do not know who the shooter is. Keep your hands in the air, and if you know where the shooter is, tell the police officers. Give a description of the shooter if you have any information. What you shouldn't do not scream or yell. Do not ask the police officers for help leaving the building. Continue leaving in the direction from which they are entering from. Do not make any sudden movement or run directly at the officers. Do not grab an officer or anyone else there to help.
Hello, I'm DFC Kayla Anderson with the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office Juvenile Operations Unit. Fortify Florida is a suspicious activity reporting tool that allows you to instantly relay information to the appropriate law enforcement agencies and school officials. Fortify Florida automatically routes your tip to the appropriate law enforcement agencies and school officials. These tips can be done anonymously, or you can add your contact information if you wish to be contacted. So, what actually happens after you make that tip? The tip report will go directly to your school's administration as well as your SRO. However, that's not all. The tip will also go to the Charlotte County Public School Administrators, as well as law enforcement dispatch and other members of local law enforcement. This is done so that the tip is not missed by anyone and handled in a timely manner. At the same time, state-level officials in Tallahassee will also have access to your tips to make sure proper steps are taken. So now, let's talk about when to properly use Fortify Florida. Fortify Florida tips should be made when you observe or hear about a suspicious activity that may endanger the children and staff at school. This would include seeing someone with a gun or another weapon in their backpack. This would also include overhearing someone making statements about bringing a gun or a weapon to school, or threatening to commit a school shooting. What is Fortify Florida not used for? It's not meant to be used to report issues that do not involve activity that may endanger children and staff at school. An example would be using Fortify Florida to complain about a math test being too hard, or complaining that the traffic in front of the school is backed up. Fortify Florida is not used to report students in possession of vape pens or cartridges or smoking in the restrooms. I quote, "Vague and anonymous tips often waste law enforcement's time and disrupt the school day," end quote, said by Kurt Browning, president of the Florida's Superintendent Association. Also remember, if you're passing on a threat via social media, you may now become the subject to an investigation as a threat has now come from your phone. Example, if John Doe posts a Snapchat post of a school threat, then you copy it and post it to your Snapchat, it could lead to school discipline and/or criminal charges. Just so you understand, Fortify Florida should only be used for tips involving threats against the school.
Hello, I am Deputy First Class Amy Martin with the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office Juvenile Operations Unit. Charlotte County Public Schools has implemented the one-button lockdown system to enhance the security of our schools. The system is much like a fire alarm for law enforcement. A simple push of the button will activate an active assailant alarm, which immediately makes notification to law enforcement. The school will send out automated audio messages throughout the campus as blue lights flash. The buttons are in high student density locations and in all of the front offices. The safety of our students and staff is our top priority, and as you can see, we are prepared to respond immediately should a situation arise.
Hi, my name is Deputy Anderson, and this is Deputy Scott, and we are your Port Charlotte High School school resource officers. Now that you've watched this video, take a couple seconds and think about what you would do in an emergency situation. If you do have any questions, please go to the student office and request to speak to an SRO, and we'll be happy to talk to you about any issue.